Oh boy. What is it with me and the need for dark, provocative titles? They do set up the strangest expectations after all. See, right here I could have gone with the "get on with it" bit from Monty Python, but I've already used it recently, so... Perfectionism, it's a bitch. Even more so when the quality still looks like ass after the fact. As I said, I could have used the Monty Python bit, but I didn't, so I'm just gonna keep going. After all, this is a YouTube video, so it surely has to have a point. I mean, that's required by law, right? Actually, to tell you the truth, what's the point of anything? Again, I have a fetish for dark material, which does kinda conflict with my reasonably upbeat personality. I'm kinda like an emo Steve Smith. Okay, I'm not like Steve at all. I'm Roger, and I have made peace with that. See, I'll get on with it in a minute, but only because those words now have more meaning than just saying, well, get on with it. Now it's a callback to that earlier joke, which must have seemed incredibly lazy at the time. The lazy reality is that most of us creating content on YouTube are slightly mentally ill. Yeah, I kinda hope that intro was warm enough, because what comes next is some cold, harsh, dark, bitter, goddammit, I just can't put off that ice cold water anymore. First off, I would love to say that I knew of and was a fan of Etika's. The truth is, I only found out about him while researching for this video. We all have our bad days. We also all have some incredible days. The bad ones just make the good ones seem that much sweeter. Etika was a prominent member of the gaming YouTuber scene. He did a great deal of work on Nintendo-related products and was well liked by many viewers. I do not know his story. I don't know what went on in his personal life. I only know what he said in his final video. A video that he posted to YouTube, which YouTube then promptly removed. Now, in defense of the corporation with a legal gun to my head, they did call suicide support lines and emergency services to try and get services to Desmond Amofah, A.K.A. Etika. However, that video was extremely important, and that is why I'm going to play the entire thing here and now uninterrupted. Because once you hear and see it, you'll understand why I find it very necessary to preserve. It's a hard video to watch. If it's not hard for you to watch, then you need to have a little empathy for someone suffering.
I'm sorry, yo. I'm sorry I betrayed your trust. I'm sorry I pushed you all away. I'm sorry I made a clown of myself. I apologize. I wish it didn't have to be this way. But unfortunately, I'm breaking my own rules. No bitch niggas and shit. I shouldn't have pushed so many people away. Now I've got nobody. You know, I wasn't suicidal before. I really wasn't. But one thing I didn't realize was that the walls were closing around me so fast. I really had no intention of killing myself, but I would always push it too far. I guess I am mentally ill. Or maybe I'm not trying to put responsibility on it. I mean, I did a lot of wrong too. I did a lot of wrong. Everyone's got to pay for what they've done wrong at some point. Everyone's got to pay for their sins at some point. I guess mine caught up to me. I'm sorry to those of you who I betrayed. I'm sorry for leaving such a stained legacy. I hope that my story maybe helps to make YouTube a better place somehow in the future, to where people know boundaries and limits of how far things should go. In an attempt to be edgy, I fucked up my entire life. It was a fun life. I had a great time. It was great, but for it to be cut cut so short. It's fucked. I know this world's gonna forget me. I know y'all are all gonna move on. And everything's gonna be good, you know? There'll be technology and games and movies I'll never see. I'll never see Attack on Titan. That last episode with Grisha was crazy too, bro. I'll never see how Attack on Titan finishes. I guess it's starting to hit me now, because I'm starting to break up a little bit. I'm like, oh fuck, tears are coming, nigga. Here we go. Bitch nigga time. It's bitch nigga time. Fuck. But nah, I'm gonna keep my composure. There's a lot of things I won't see. A lot of people who I wanted to see grow up. You know, John, shout out to Katie and you and the kids. Wish I could have seen them grow up. Wish I could have seen what happened with the boys, you know? Wish I could have seen what happened with everybody. You know? I've come too far. Was it the social media? Was it the mental illness? Was it the edginess? It was a mix of all of them. But I ultimately turned down help. And you know what they say, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. I just didn't realize I needed help. That's how deluded I was, man. It's not y'all fault. I don't want you to blame yourselves. It's all my fault. I'm the one that pushed y'all away. And then I deluded myself into thinking that somehow I didn't destroy a big part of my life, that somehow I was ahead of the curve. It was like that heavy delusion that I couldn't pull myself out of. I didn't even know I was in it. I was saying and doing things that made no sense. All because I was too scared to drop my image. Fuck, man. So, I deserve whatever's coming to me, I suppose. I'm sorry I let y'all down. I really apologize. I wish I could have been stronger. I wish I could have lived better. I wish I could have done more. I wish I was more receptive. I wish I was more open. I wish I wasn't so combative. I wish I didn't think I always knew the best. It's a confusing world sometimes, dog. I'm sorry to all of you. I'm sorry to Christine. I'm sorry to Fiona. I'm sorry to my mom. I'm sorry to Ben. I'm sorry to Ray. Auntie Ann. Everybody on Instagram, Twitter. I'm sorry to Son. I'm really sorry. Let my story be one that advises caution on too much of the social media shit, man. It can fuck you up. It can give you an image of what you want your life to be, and it can get blown completely out of proportion, dog. Unfortunately, it consumed me. And it made me forget about consequences to my actions. It made me forget that we have to pay for the things that we say. It made me forget that there is weight behind words. I was so consumed with this great image that I had that I thought I was invulnerable to everything. I thought, oh, I'm destined for this. Nothing can stop me. It's stupid. Every time I made a bad decision, one that I didn't think would hurt me, friends would always be like, hey, you sure about this, dog? Are you doing okay? You feeling okay? Probably shouldn't do that. And I did it anyways. I made a lot of bad decisions, dog. And now when it comes to pay the consequences, I'm too much of a pussy to do it. And it's sad. The world will be better off without me. At least learning from my lesson. Keemstar, I wish you the best, my nigga. Pokey, sorry for scaring you so much. I really am sorry for that. I apologize. That was being stupid. Christine, sorry for being so hard-headed and all the other horrible things I did. I mean, hey, two wrongs don't make it right, but I mean, you know.
Yes, he did it to himself, but that does not make it any less tragic, and that does not mean we should feel nothing for him. I think it actually means we should feel a little more. If you see someone like that and joke about it, it's because you can't relate to how they feel. Talking about all the things he won't ever see, I know some of you are like, well then live, you dumbass! Don't take for granted how easy it is for you to live. In fact, you have a pretty badass superpower. Look at it this way. Yes, you are better than the rest of us who are struggling. You have some kind of superhuman power. So stop being a super dickhead about all of this. I know even you superhumans struggle. The difference is your struggles are different. Giving up never seems like a solution for you. So be grateful that you've never had that moment. I don't know Etika's personal story, but what I saw reminds me not only of myself, but most YouTubers as a whole. Let's remove suicide from the discussion for a moment. Just think about loneliness, isolation, and depression. While all of us creators are certainly creative, and we've always sought an outlet for our creations, YouTube, and moreover social media as a whole, has created this wormhole for creative types. It's never enough to make the content you want to create. It's about pulling some stunt to get the most hits. It's about searching for the idea that will make you famous. That idea that will suddenly fix your entire life. We're all trying to live Wayne's World. We want to make a living doing what we love, but then we realize we have to do what will get the most likes, subscribers, comments, and interactions on social media instead. But then you see what happens when you live that lifestyle. Look at Logan Paul. The dude made it to the fucking Disney Channel. He made it. And then he fucking bungled it all just to try and get more fame. Chasing fame and fortune just never ends well. The closer it seems, the further it really is. If you're a vlogger and you're doing this for a living, you're either miserable on the inside due to chasing the hits, or you're a very happy person because you get hits for making the content you always wanted to create. Or you could be like the rest of us and, have your good and bad days. No one's judging you for them. Except for YouTube, who decides that your bad day should not be broadcast on their publication. That video will not inspire more suicides. This is some kind of mindfuck being done by someone or the actions of some very ignorant motherfuckers. Suicide and depression still exist due to the simple fact that we never take the time to understand them. When you're dealing with a disease of the mind, the only cure is knowledge and understanding. This is why making jokes about suicide is actually more helpful than not talking about it at all. This is not a comfortable subject, and that means we must approach it unconventionally. And sometimes defying conventions has wonderful results. When you're so afraid of a topic that you start erasing videos or deciding to not even bother, that's when you need to confront the topic head on. The more you isolate it, the more taboo you make it, the more powerful it becomes. This is why you have so many people hearing about a young man talking about missing out on an anime who'd rather react with frustration instead of compassion. However, unlike most others who just rag on you for being frustrated and responding brashly, I agree with your frustration. It's a sign that you care on some level. So knowing that you care just as much as the person who goes to pieces seeing that sort of thing, why not use the strength you have to not get caught in the feels to achieve some sort of productive goal? The truth is, we're all one bad day away from losing that superpower to never see surrender as an option. You don't have to give in to it to realize that at some point you were probably just a few thoughts away from consideration. A few thoughts can be inches, it can be feet, it can be a whole mile away. We do not have to feel the entire thing to get the idea of it. Otherwise, why the hell do we even bother watching porn? If you can use your brain to get into the idea of pleasure, then I'm pretty sure you can use it to confront uncomfortable feelings and ideas. After all, some of those pleasures don't seem especially comfortable to everyone. Now this is the part where most people give the suicide hotline. However, as someone who's had their time feeling closer to inches than miles, I can say that hotline never helped as much as a good video game, film, or a song. Now while that hotline may help you in a pinch, I've also seen people abused on it, hung up on, and put on hold for ungodly amounts of time. Am I saying it's hopeless? No. I just can't endorse something that could have the opposite effect. Note, I said a good song. That emo shit only makes it worse. I know. You love it. I loved it too. Then I grew up and realized it was not especially healthy. Hearing someone sing about death like it's a good thing is kind of like listening to NAMBLA. You're just going to get the wrong kinds of ideas. Just like the idea that a permanent solution to temporary problems is the right choice. So if looking forward to a silly anime keeps you going, have at it. Look forward to that next video game, that next song. Just don't do this with food, because that is suicide on super slow-mo. Now, if you want to see suicide on super fast forward, do it with social media and chase fame, because that's like smoking a meth, crack, tobacco, and AIDS cigar. Once again, we've arrived at the end of the video, and it's been a fairly dark one. We can laugh at the jokes all we want, but we know we're feeling some pretty complex shit at the moment. And that's totally okay. Some Rubik's Cubes take time to solve. It's kind of like searching for the G-spot. It may take a great deal of time, but it's always a worthwhile search in the end. And then there are the times when even a world-class joke just doesn't cut it. So here's a song featuring Russell Crowe and Mr. Scott Grimes.
Stop with a step you don't want to take, he said. Walk with a purpose that you won't forget. Meet yourself when you leave those other dreams behind. Lift your eyes, there's a fire in the sky. You thought it died 10,000 miles away, filling in the gaps in my yesterdays, waving to the other souls who come this way. I'll find a home. I'm out of town, I'm out of state, I'm out of my mind, but that feels great. I'm out of anger, I'm out of pain, I'm so out of there, I'm out of range, I'm out of range. Start with a step that begins a journey of a million things. A static life is a wasted gift. Meet yourself when you leave those other dreams behind. Lift your eyes, there's a fire in the sky. You thought it died 10,000 miles away, filling in the gaps of my yesterdays, learning nothing can be the best thing to say. Home is gonna be. I'm out of town, I'm out of state, I'm out of my mind, but that feels great. I'm out of anger, I'm out of pain, I'm so out of there, I'm out of range, I'm out of range. Under these stars will always be in my life. Under these seas, live new dreams, words cannot justify. Under these stars, the best parts of you will always be in my life. Oh, under this moon shines a man who won't be giving up anytime soon. I'm out of town, I'm out of state, I'm out of my mind, but that feels great. I'm out of anger, I'm out of pain, I'm so out of there, I'm out of rain. I'm out of my mind, but that feels great. I'm out of anger, I'm out of pain, I'm so out of there, I'm out of range. Start with a step you don't want to take, he said. Walk with a purpose that you won't forget.